All right. Welcome to the Hypnosis Hero podcast. It looks like we are live almost everywhere we need to be, although I would not be so sure about TikTok, so we'll set that up in a minute. I've got my iPad here. We'll just make that adjustment, which is no problem because that means that we're live on Facebook and YouTube for sure in a couple different places, and it is not nighttime, at least not here anyway. We have a guest that is joining us from the UK, so we opted for something a little bit earlier, and there's a couple reasons for that, and we'll get to that when our guest gets here. In the meantime, and in between time, just a couple of very quick show notes. This is the last episode of season 5 of the Hypnosis Hero podcast. I don't know if we ever thought we'd get to season 5, but you know what? I'm going to bring on my co-host. We're going to talk just a little bit about how this season has gone and big plans for everything up and coming, and of course a little bit about the Performing Hypnosis Summit coming up in January of 2027. So welcome to the show, Mr. Brian Bay. Yay!
Shawn, how are you doing? God,
Good.
I don't know what is up with my camera. It is all right. We're just gonna
Close up of Brian. Hide your screens, everybody.
extreme close up. Yeah,
that looks all right.
So yeah, for whatever reason, so we're packing, we're getting ready for the move, and everything like that. So I'm gonna slouch down in my chair a little bit. Yeah, it's total chaos. So
Well, that sounds like just a typical day in the neighborhood.
yeah, par for the course.
Yeah.
But how's your 4th, man?
Well, I don't know because we don't celebrate the 4th.
Right.
You know, we come before that on the 1st.
Oh, with Canada Day, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and for those of you that know, Brian and I will trade Canada versus American barbs all day long.
Yeah. Grant was getting a lot of it with videos and photos of fireworks, and enjoy going to work on Saturday, that type of stuff. So
yes, and I believe he called it Treason Day. So
Treason Day, yep. And then yeah, it was. Oh, I didn't send you pictures, Shawn. I told you about it. Well, actually, no, you saw it on Facebook.
yes, so don't ride a motorcycle with Brian. Grant would probably say, "Don't ride in a vehicle with Brian, especially in the winter."
No, I ran over something leaving my friend's neighborhood, and it was enough to just. It was slow enough of a leak that I didn't notice it, but fast enough to drop air pressure down to nothing. So I was at an undisclosed speed on the freeway, and the back end kind of shimmied a little bit, and I went, okay. And then it did it again. I'm like, that's not grooves in the road or pavement or wind or anything. And I could hear my late father's voice in my head going, pull over, son, and see what's wrong. And I think if I'd been going another mile or something like that, the tire would have left the chat and it would have been a bad day. But yeah, it's kind of the Grant Saunders karma, I believe, because it was all this shit talking that I was doing. And then Grant called. I called Grant this morning, and he's on his way to Skegness for a show, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, U.S. and Belgium were playing in Seattle yesterday. Yeah, how'd that game go? I don't want to talk about it, Grant." So
that's fine. We lost. We also didn't make it around to the next round either. So Morocco thoroughly thrashed us by the sounds of it. Although it was apparently a really chippy game. So
the World Cup is. I mean, I grew up playing soccer as a kid, and I think I've become more and more like not disgusted, because it takes talent to play soccer or football, whatever you call it, where you're watching from. But what it has, I'm disappointed in what it has evolved into. With you bump into somebody, you fart in their general direction, and they they fall down so flamboyantly and over dramatic, like they had been shot, and writhe around on the ground like, you know, they're being skinned alive. And I'm like, in hockey, we're like 2 minutes for diving, you know, unsportsmanlike conduct. That's crap.
Yeah, but you're also wearing equipment in hockey, so
I mean, it's like, you know, guys get smacked with sticks, and you know,
oh
there's
yeah,
full contact. You know, you breathe on a soccer player wrong, and he's like, you bump him in the shoulder or in the back. I mean, there was, I think I saw one where they were both going for the ball, and a guy kicked, and it like his toe kicked the toe of the other guy's shoe. You know, it glanced off a little bit, and all of a sudden the guy like reaches up, like he had just been karate kicked in the face, and is rolling around on the ground, you know, holding his shoulder and everything. I'm going, the hell is this? But I don't know. It's interesting. But enough about me. We've got a pretty cool guest, don't we?
we do indeed. We do indeed. And, you know, I mentioned off the top that this is the end of season 5. So this is our last podcast until we start up again. So we should, before we bring our guest on, really quickly mention the Performing Hypnosis Summit coming up
Uh-huh.
in January, of course. So if you haven't seen all the hullabaloo and announcements and so on and so forth, uh, just be aware there are airlines providing discounts. The hotel has a discounted rate. You can get all that information off of the performinghypnosissummit.com.
And speaking of the hotel discount, we've got cheaper rates this year, or for 2027, than we had in January.
There you go. And again, that a lot of that is actually due to Brian's legwork, working with the airlines to make that happen. And we have other sponsors that are of course on board with PHS as well. So all and we've seen the speaker lineup, the people that have already put in their submissions. There's still a couple people that we're waiting on the final submission from, but uh, you
And
know,
and,
by
and then
all
there's and then there's just additional scheduling that we're trying to work out. You know,
yeah,
there's I'm
all the good
try,
extra
yeah,
cur.
we're working with trying to onboard additional sponsors, which, you know, definitely offset costs, but it also allows us to do additional things. So,
Yeah,
you know, one of the things we're trying to do is, I think I've said several times, is sort of slow the pace down a little bit, not just cram with lecture, presentation, and have people running off to go get lunch, run upstairs, try to freshen up in your room, come back downstairs, and, you know, you're already sweating, and, you know, adding to that anxiety, if you will. But rather slow things down, reduce the number of speakers, and increase the time for what I refer to as fellowship. You know, not the religious kind, but just rather you're hanging out and you're organically networking, you're brainstorming, talking ideas, and it allows people to form those friendships and relationships where you can build trust and say, hey, you know, I may not be able to cover a show, but hey, I can refer business, and that's where everybody wins.
yep.
So
And I think that's really the key right there. Is the whole reason you come to a conference is, yes, to learn, but it's also to connect, make new friends, new colleagues, find out new things, and then when you go back, you don't feel like you're an island unto yourself. And this, especially in the stage world, right? Like oftentimes I think performers think that they are the only ones that have ever experienced anything, and in reality every performer has probably experienced the same thing at different times.
right,
So, you know, how can we get that knowledge shared and out there is really what we're after.
yeah. So it's you know, oh God, sorry, I was in the
For
middle
those
of
of you just joining us, it's early morning for Brian. It's only 11 a.m.
oh no, I have been drafting a brief since yesterday, and I think I'm probably
It's
almost
not brief anymore. It's
oh
long.
no, it's I'm 20 pages deep in it right now, and so it's
Yeah.
just going back and looking at numbers, and I'm going, for a second there, I'm like, I had a strategy in my head, then I had a point that I was going to make. My train of thought is still boarding at the station, and I'm just kind of like, well, that was really an awesome idea in my head, but yeah, I'm sure I will come back to it, and it will scroll its way into the conversation.
Okay. No worries. In the meantime, though, we should introduce our guest. And this particular guest, I've followed her on Facebook, and we've connected on a few different of the social media platforms. But probably I'm going to say for the better part of a couple of years, and I was always a little intrigued about what she actually does, because a lot of the times when I see her on social media, she's actually at her farm.
Oh
So
wow.
we'll talk a little bit about that too. But our guest today and I say today because it is daytime here. Our guest today on Hypnosis Hero is a hypnotherapist, sleep coach, and an educator who specializes in helping people overcome sleep difficulties with a particular focus on supporting midlife women. She has more than 20 years of experience in education and has worked with the most vulnerable young people in the UK. And after navigating her own challenges with mental health and insomnia, made the decision to refocus her career and train in hypnotherapy and coaching. Today, she uses all of these powerful therapeutic tools to help others improve their sleep, regain confidence, and create meaningful change in their lives. Some of them have lived more than one. Who knows? Uh, Welcome to the Hypnosis Hero podcast, Dr. Becca Helen. And give me
Hello.
Becca, good.
There we go.
Good.
Sound effects and everything.
I would say,
thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
yeah, I would say good. It's good morning for me and good evening for you.
It is indeed. And good afternoon for Shawn. We're all different times.
We hit the trifecta.
Yep. So all we need is somebody in Australia, because it's probably already tomorrow there. So
yeah, I want to find out what's going on there.
No, it is all good. Welcome to the podcast. Like I said, I was always intrigued, because every time I see you on social media, you're usually working outside. You're active, doing things, and it's not really ever in a real clinical type of setting. So
yes, I've got lots of different things going on. Yes. So yes, I have a small holding. So near to where I live, I have a little farm, and on my farm I have a horse. It was big, going back. I've had it about 20 years, and over the years I've had lots of animals. I've had lots of horses. I've had chickens, ducks, geese, goats, sheep, cows. I've had lots over the years, but as time's gone on, and I'm getting older, and I'm wanting to slow down, I'm downsizing. So as animals have, deceased and parted, I've not replaced them. So now I have just one horse, and I have 3 sheep. So my little sheep are they're a breed native to the UK. They're called coloured Rylands, and they are a Downs breed. They're known. They would have been traditionally bred for their wool. It's very fine, thick, and it's used in previous historical times to produce silk strings and materials. But I did used to show my sheep, and it's probably what you've seen me doing on Facebook posts. I used to show them, and now I don't do so much of that anymore. I just use they're just pets, really. So they help to keep the grass down, and they help to manage the land when you've got horses. So your land gets very disturbed when you have horses. So it's nice to have sheep to balance out the pasture, and with things like worm count, and and keeping grassland in better condition. So the sheep and the horses go quite well together.
So when you say that are you saying that the horses tear up the ground, like when they run on it, or
they can do? Yeah, they poach the land, and I suppose because where I live in the UK, so I'm in the northwest of the UK, and it's very wet here a lot of the time, so our land does get, and of course with the type of bill that I have around by me, which is very clayey, it gets waterlogged. It holds quite a bit of water, so the horses can churn up the land, and then you start getting nettles and thistles and things like that. So the sheep help to keep the grass. Also, I don't want too much. Yeah, and I don't want my horse to eat too much grass. Any horse lovers watching this will understand about laminitis and it's overweight. So I don't want my horse to have access to too much grass, because that's not good for them. So the sheep help to keep the grass more, at a better level.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, a big animal lover. Yeah. So I've also got 3 dogs. I did adopt 3 dogs. So I've got 2 dogs. I had lots of dogs over the years as well. Beagles. So I've got a beagle and a Lhasa and I've also got a tortoise.
You have a
animal lover. I'm one for.
You have a beagle because you are your own masochist. I dated a lady who her son had a beagle with the most insane separation anxiety that I have ever seen. This dog would not drink water unless it was bottled water, and he got to see it poured into the bowl. Her son would go like into the bathroom and leave the dog in the bedroom, and it was just sounding like an animal being skinned alive. And I'm like, I know that this poor dog just wants to go out and hunt.
Oh my word. Well, so beagles do get separation anxiety. They are a pack. Obviously, they're a hound. They're a pack animal. They don't make good solitary dogs. So going back 20 years, our beagles for 20 years. So going back 20 years ago, my ex-husband brought home a beagle puppy, and he was the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life. Big long ears and these lovely eyes and jowls. And we thought, he needs a friend. So then, when he was about 5 months old, we thought, yeah, he needs a friend. So we went and bought another beagle.
Right.
And then as she was about 2 years old, we thought, let's have some puppies. So we had a litter of puppies. And then it's like, let's keep 2. So our 2 beagles then became 4 beagles. And then another couple of years later, we had another litter of puppies, and then it's let's keep another 2. We can't sell them, they're so cute. So we ended up with 6 beagles. So I literally had a pack of beagles for years. So they are the most they're the most adorable dogs, but they are hard work. And if I hadn't have lived on the farm at that time, so I don't live there now, but I did live on the farm, and if we hadn't have had the farm with the land and such, the space, we couldn't have had so many dogs. So beagles are notorious. They're scent hounds. They get the noses on the ground. As soon as they're on the scent of a rabbit or a fox or a pheasant, they go deaf.
Right.
And
you can't tell them anything.
Shouting. You are blue in the face and they don't hear you.
Yeah,
and we spent hours. I mean, I've learned the hard way with beagles. Now you don't let them off the lead, but obviously when I was younger, I didn't understand about beagles quite the same. You'd let them off and they'd be off. They would be off. Spent hours trips in the countryside searching for them.
Come back and they're just exhausted.
They're a fun dog, but they're.
I think the comedian Ron White, he goes, my dog got out, was gone for hours, running all over the place like this English bulldog, and he goes, the dog finally get the dog back after several hours. The thing's exhausted, and he goes, so I leash him up and I take him for a walk. But yeah, so tell us about
so they are.
Tell us about your hypnosis journey and kind of where everything all started.
Wow. Okay, so as I mentioned, I was married. I have an ex-husband. I lived on a farm, and my story really started around 20 2000 and about 20 years ago, 2007. And I was having a bit of a tough time, so going back from then, there were things that happened in the marriage, most people have ups and downs, and trials and tribulations. So from 2007 till about 2013, that's sort of what happened to me, sort of ups and downs, no things that people experience in a relationship, but it was part of the accumulation of things, right? This emotional sort of baggage that, I started to collect.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to 2013. And 2013 was what I would call my annus horribilis. So it was one of the worst years of life that I remember. So it was a case of, in that year, there were lots of quite big, significant emotional events that happened. So my marriage ended, not for the last time, but for one of the first times. It was like one of those things where you think, right, it's over, it's all done. I had a couple of my grandparents were quite poorly, in and out of hospital, diagnosed with dementia.
Oh, yeah.
So that was really upsetting, missing that. On a family parent, so someone who was a quite close member of the family, passed away unexpectedly, and in quite traumatic circumstances. And then also there was I had a dog that was really ill. So it was one of those years where one thing after another. And I remember just sitting outside the vets in floods of tears thinking, God, just give me a break. You just feel like you can't take any more. And that was really the start of my mental health declining, but also the start of insomnia. So I didn't realize what it was at the time, because I didn't know that I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. But going back to 2013, that was really...
You're kind of like, I don't remember being a biblical character. I'm not supposed to be reliving the book of Job with just everything just keeps, life just keeps piling on. But yeah,
so
please.
and it's the same for for lots of people watching this. Life chucks your curveballs all the time, and at that time, much like many people listening to this now, I didn't have the skills or the knowledge or the know-how to deal with. So I did go for counselling over the years, and I did go to the doctors, and I did get prescribed. That was the first time that I got prescribed a sleeping tablet, which was silicone. It was one of the Z drugs for sleeping. And no, it was then, because I still have the original box with the date on. So it was 2013, back all the way back then. So when I talk about sleep and problems with sleep, I can speak from experience, and I speak with congruence and authenticity because I've been there. So from 2013 and then carrying on for the next sort of several years up until 2019. So for the next 6, 7, 8 years, again, continuing problems, emotional things, life goes on. You still have to, during all this time, I was still going to work. You're still, running a home. You're still looking after animals on the farm. It's like, everyday pressures, just like everyone else. Right. Although I was starting to struggle. And in 2019, my marriage broke down. And unfortunately, it hit just at the same time as COVID did. So my marriage broke down.
You get to be isolated while separating from your spouse.
Absolutely, yes. So going through wasn't a happy divorce at all. It was quite traumatic, very difficult, and throughout that time as well, lockdowns, various lockdowns, the isolation of COVID, and by that again, I'd been to several counsellors as well over those years. Counselling just didn't. It did work in some ways, but also it didn't work for me. There was just I think because as well, because things were continuing, I just never felt like I had any headspace, and things just got worse and worse and worse. And I got to the point where I hit rock bottom. I felt suicidal. I'd actually looked at a tree and thought that was where I was going to end my life.
Right.
I did go back to the doctors. They prescribed me with metazapine and also a mental health nurse. And the mental health nurse was lovely and she was really helpful. The metazapine I found not to be. I didn't like the way it made me feel. I didn't like feeling like a zombie. I didn't like feeling like I wasn't I wasn't in a good place, and I suppose that's why my animals were so important to me as well, because if it hadn't have been for my animals, I would not have got out of bed. You know those. I don't know if you've if anyone listens ever been there, but those days were dark, and those days were I just wanted the whole world to just bugger off and leave me alone. Like go away. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to function. But my animals, I knew they were waiting for me. I knew that I couldn't leave standing there. I couldn't not feed them or just check them. So they were my driver to just get me out of bed. They gave me purpose.
Yeah.
So in a way, they were, they were very, very therapeutic for me as well. Which is why I well for anyone that does animal assisted interventions, because to me, it's so powerful. And dogs, with their unconditional love, they always make you smile. Have a cuddle with a dog when you're feeling down. Have a stroke of a dog when you're feeling down. And they just, they instantly lift you, don't they? They make you feel happy and they give you that smile and feeling of warmth and love, which I think is massively important.
So I'm looking at I'm looking at multiple screens here. For whatever reason, our broadcasting page, nothing is showing up in the chat. So I'm watching Facebook and YouTube. So Mark Barris has a question. He said he just had a home sleep study and they sent him a new, I'm assuming that's CPAP machine. And he says it's the Luna 3. And follow-up question, is that a good one?
Do you know what? I'm really sorry. I cannot answer that question. I need to make this clear at the very start, right? Because I'm a doctor of education. I am not a medical doctor. So even though I specialize, PhD in education, but I'm not a medical doctor. So I can't, even though I can, I can give my experience and my knowledge of what I've learned about sleep that I use to help my clients. Any questions like that, really, you need to go back to your own medical professional.
Mark, read the reviews on Amazon.
Yeah, thanks.
Actually,
I don't want to mislead anyone thinking I'm an actual, I'm a medical doctor. I'm not. So
we'll kind of kick through some comments here. Actually, longtime viewer, Becky she's actually in just outside of Norwich, so she's over watching on your side of the pond. She says depression is such a hard thing to break, and it's not just the sadness, which I agree. And then she said that she's had problems sleeping, on and off, years ago, and she said she used to be on medication and tried over-the-counter stuff. And she said that hypnosis was really kind of what helped her, achieve restful sleep and things like that. And I know from my personal experience, the American VA, so the Veterans Affairs, they are so super quick to just throw medications at veterans. And, the anti-anxiety medications make you more anxious. The antidepressants make you more depressed. And then there's other unwanted side effects, and some of the stuff I can totally sympathize and empathize and really relate to your experience where I took a medication and I was, my ex-wife, we were married at the time. She says, Try it for 30 days. And it was day 28. I just walked in, no appointment, anything. I walked in the doctor's office and was like, get me off of this. I'm done. If I take one more pill, I'm going to go play in traffic. And he goes, well, this is kind of odd for a non-stimulant medication. And I went, whatever it's doing, I don't know if it's the medication, if it's home life, I'm just done. But, you know, with all the struggles and just feeling like life is dumping on you, it's not that you want like retribution or to get back at anybody. It's, you just want peace and the pain and all the, quite frankly, all the bullshit to stop.
Absolutely. Because the one thing, so, I mean, when you're desperate, you will try anything. I mean, I had days and days and days of obviously feeling so low, feeling anxious. My world had been turned upside down. I didn't know what my future held. I felt low, felt like, you lose touch with who you are as a person. One day my head was spinning so much. All I wanted to do was bang my head against it to make it stop. I wanted peace. And when you are so exhausted mentally as well from all the mental turmoil, but because of the constant lack of sleep, which anyone listening who's had a few sleepless nights knows how exhausting that is, how it affects your mood, how it affects your concentration. It doesn't take long before you start feeling like really low when you've not been sleeping properly, and you can't think straight. You're not productive. And at its worst, my insomnia was I would either not sleep at all, well, feel like I wouldn't sleep at all. You'd be led there all night just with your eyes closed thinking, go to sleep, and just tossing and turning.
Right.
Or I'd be awake 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And then your alarm just before 7 o'clock, your alarm goes off. And you can't wake up because you're absolutely physically exhausted. But then you drag your bones out of bed and you're trying to work and you're driving danger. It's get to the point where you are so desperate you try anything. And a lot of the clients that I work with who have had insomnia literally have. They say, yeah, I've tried that. They feel like they've tried absolutely everything, because when you are really desperate, you will go to any lengths to try and help yourself sleep.
Well, and then
so when I was offered medication, I didn't know about hypnosis. So this is before I trained. So
and that's
20, up until
and kind of like what you were talking about, you get stuck in the medication cycle. You know, these pills wake me up, these ones bring me down, and then the other stuff in between, keeps all the voices at bay.
Yeah. So it was tough. But then, I discovered hypnotherapy. So that was really sort of my journey to that point. And then hypnotherapy did help. It helped me get rid of a lot of the emotional baggage that I was carrying. It let me release, that stress, the anxiety, all that weight. It let me get rid of that. But my insomnia had become chronic. So for me, even though I found massive benefit with hypnotherapy, and that to be fair, that's what made me want to train myself, because I'd realized how effective it was and how powerful it was, and how I got a different result in a different time frame than I did when I'd been to counselling. And I thought, you know what, this is amazing. I was like, oh my God, what have I just experienced? And I thought, I need to train in this.
Right.
Because it was just something, even though I was still working in education, and I've sort of always been an advocate for looking for different ways of working with the young people that I worked with. And that's where my interest in education and therapy sort of grew as well. When I was studying for my doctorate, I was doing a lot of my main research was about using horses as a therapeutic tool. So my research focused on how horses can help young people. It was equine facilitated learning. So you've probably come across that with veterans. Maybe they do a lot of equine assisted therapies and psychotherapies and things with horses. So my research was around that and looking at how powerful horses can be with helping young people develop communication skills, teamwork, confidence, resilience, and all these other wonderful skills, social interaction skills that will help them get through their school life and life beyond. And then that opened up, when I was researching about that, it also opened up information about dogs. And then you look at the therapy dogs and the the veteran dogs and the reading dogs, reading assistance dogs and education assistance dogs and dementia dogs and pets as therapy dogs that go into hospitals and things like that. So there was, I'm a massive believer in the power of, the therapeutic value of animals in therapy, but also in education as well.
Oh yeah. Well, the an old group commander of mine he retired as a full bird colonel, and his wife basically has horses at their house, and he goes, yeah, we've got the arena out there, and he goes, my job is basically to fix the fences, and now I'm a farmhand. But they bring a lot of veterans out, and again, the therapy dogs are tremendous. You've probably heard Marcus Luttrell from The Lone Survivor talk about the stuff that he went through, and then even the follow on. He had a yellow lab named Daisy that unfortunately some guys down in Texas kidnapped the dog and ended up killing her, but he got into a big chase, and he was like, you got this pissed off Navy SEAL who's done some things in places in a full-on high-speed chase on the phone with 911 being like, you guys get there before I do because I'm going to kill them all. And but he talks about, he's like, that dog is, the dog's always happy to see you. You are everything to that animal. And again, like you described earlier, that gives you a sense of purpose of, you're like, I don't have to do anything to this dog other than love on it, feed it, water it, let it out to go to the bathroom and play with it. If you do those things, dogs will be like, best life ever. And
they bring so much joy. But the mutually beneficial thing about animals, especially with dogs and with humans, as research shows, that when you stroke a dog, it releases oxytocin in you. So when it releases, and in the dog as well, believe it or not. So you get this mutually beneficial, I like being stroked by, the dog. But
shut up, Shawn. Stop laughing.
You get this lovely feeling. And that's the bonding hormone. That's your the oxytocin that it releases into your system is the social bonding hormone. And that's why you get this lovely, this lovely feeling when you're with a dog. But it's also, like you said, that they call dogs a social lubricant. So that also, yes,
my inner 12-year-old is just. This is a total cultural vocabulary language thing, because we would be like, wait, when you pet the dog, and when you're talking about you stroke the dog and lubricant and everything, going, Shawn and I'm like, all we're missing is Grant.
Oh no, don't get him on here. If the conversation will go downhill.
Yeah, but no, it's just a humorous thing between our countries.
Social lubricant.
Yeah, but no,
when you're out with a dog, it creates a conversation.
And actually, when
you've got a nice dog, what's it called? And it gives you that.
I mean, when you kind of break down the linguistics of, like you said, the social lubricant, it, especially in the Seattle area, people are very closed off in where it's like, you kind of have to have a justification or, to be talking to people, because a lot of folks will just put earbuds in, they'll do their grocery shopping and whatnot. But, you walk around with a dog and it's like, oh my God, such a beautiful dog. How's your day going? May I pet the dog? Is it friendly?
Exactly.
Then it's, how long have you had it? And it opens up conversation, where in other parts of the United States, you could just, go, hi, how are you doing? You look interesting. I'd like to talk to you. And people be like, all right, cool. In Seattle, they'd be like, this is weird. But
probably a bit like us with London, the more north you go, the friendlier people are generally in England, and the more you're more likely to get chatting to someone sat next to them on the bus when you're in the north of England, where if you did that in London, they probably look at you like you're a bit weirdo. Yeah, people don't.
Yeah,
look at you when you're on the
it's kind of like, okay, what do you want from me? And
so if you think about the like the animal situation for people who have mental health issues, isolated and lonely,
right,
you know, if they could, there is a thing in England, I don't know if there is in where you are, but in England there's a borrowmydoggy.com where people can actually, you know, go dog walking with other people's dogs. It's like a scheme that they sign up to, but that gets people out. It's not just, you know, steps in, getting their exercise, but then there's an opportunity to meet other people with dogs, chat. It's like this whole, you know, social thing that is going to be really good for some people with their mental health.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Borrowmydoggy.com.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Like that. That's one of the things that
I love it. So that's why I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, there's a lady that I know from, I forget what Facebook group we met and became friends on Facebook, but she's a breeder for Australian Shepherds, and I grew up with those dogs. They're just brilliant animals. And so she's like, oh, I've got another, you know, such as the dogs. They're having another litter of puppies. And I'm like, oh, they're 2 months old. They're like little grizzly bears. I just want to, can I just come over and play with them? That's all I want to do is pet them and throw the ball and just wear them out. But yeah, I think it can serve a dual purpose, but then you definitely want to vet people and make sure that someone's not going to be like, okay, I'm obsessed with your dog, I'm going to go take it for a walk and never come home. But
true. Yeah, true.
But yeah, I think I think a cool thing is like the dog parks and stuff like that. You're able to watch your dog having fun. Then you're able to kind of, it's almost like people who don't have kids. It's almost like going to Little League, going like, okay, you know, Johnny and Timmy are playing on the same team. So that means that the parents have to kind of play nice together and get along and go do things, because while your child is in sports, that kind of becomes your life.
Yeah. That's like me. I have no kids, so my animals became sort of my kids too.
Right.
So I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So going back to how I've got to where I am, I did have hypnotherapy and I did train, but also hypnotherapy wasn't just enough on its own to cure my insomnia, because they said it became chronic. So that, you know, it lasts longer than, so if insomnia lasts longer than 3 months, it can become chronic. Well, in the last 14 years. So, hypnotherapy wasn't just enough on its own to cure my sleep. So I then discovered cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. And when I had cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, I thought, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to train in this. And that's what I did. So cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia.
Take me through cognitive behavioral.
The gold standard treatment.
Take me through that, because I went to a counselor, and you know, for like PTSD stuff in the military, and I kind of asked him, I was like, all I do is I sit here and I talk to you, and then we come back next week. And I was like, what is it that we're doing? And he was like, well, it's a cognitive behavioral therapy. And I said, I don't understand, like, what's the strategy that we're supposed to be doing? Is it just I talk about it enough and then I just get bored? Yeah.
So this is different, okay? So it's different to cognitive behavioral therapy that you've had.
Okay.
This is a cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. It's a different strand altogether.
Okay, sure.
So this method of working is, is the gold standard treatment for insomnia. It's recommended by the NHS globally. It's gold standard. NHS, NICE guidelines. You know, you can Google it and it will come up. You know, I don't know what health foundations are in where you live, but if you research cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, it will tell you that it's the gold standard treatment globally. Okay, and what it does is it looks at the way that it looks at behaviors, mainly behaviors around sleep, to change our behaviors around sleep, and also reset our circadian rhythms, which is your natural wake sleep cycle, your 24-hour circadian rhythm that everybody has. So it looks at the stimulus control and also something called sleep compression or sleep rescheduling. So there's different components of this program that you follow that basically strips back everything that you thought you knew about sleep. So the cognitive side of it is about changing your attitude and your beliefs around sleep. So, people sometimes think that, if I don't get 8 hours, I'm never going to function tomorrow.
Right.
But it's about, well, how is that? Yeah. If you don't get out 8 hours, can you really not function tomorrow? It's about sometimes taking away or stripping back or reframing the different irrational thoughts, sometimes the anxieties, the beliefs that people build up over time about their sleep, and reframing those. So you spend a lot of time like working with the client. We do initial assessments as well. So when I work with a client with insomnia, we'll do an insomnia severity index score at first, which sort of starting point for how severe someone's insomnia is. We look at, we do a dysfunctional beliefs and attitudes questionnaire as well. So we look at
that now Becca's comment makes sense. I'll kind of rewind real quick. She says that rewind real quick. Becca said that you reminded her of the TV series called The Afterlife with Ricky Gervais in it, where he wants to end his life, but the dog kept him going. But then what you just said makes sense, where she says, I struggled with the cognitive behavioral therapy. And she says it's a great practice, but where she struggled was where they gave her a bunch of paperwork. It's like, okay, here's additional homework to go do. And it's like, it's one more assignment that you have to get done, or one more task that you're already struggling with depression and everything. And I was like, yep, that makes sense. I had that too. I'm like, I don't need another packet of stuff.
Yeah. So that's the CBT that's more like counseling, isn't it? That looks at how your thoughts, you feel it, your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, they're all intertwined, aren't they, with the CBT? I've never studied that kind of work, but from your experience, I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it?
Becky was commenting as well. Normally we would have the comments pop up on the screen, but I'm watching the comments on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah. So we do look at some of those in CBTI, but they're mainly related to sleep.
Right.
However, because I'm a hypnotist, the advantage of when someone comes to do CBTI with me and sleep, we can also work on the underlying issues, maybe why they're not sleeping. So we can get rid of the anxiety that's keeping them awake, or the stress, or the emotional baggage that's, maybe fueling insomnia. So that's where I stand out in my, above, in comparison to other clinicians that maybe do CBTI who don't work as hypnotherapists or counselors and things. I can do that. I can help my clients get rid of emotional baggage that might be fueling their insomnia, because insomnia generally starts with a significant emotional event. So there's usually a period of which something happens in someone's life. So, for example, you could have had a massive row with your partner, right? You don't sleep for it. You don't sleep for a couple of nights. You could have had a bereavement in your family, right? That's going to upset your sleep. You could be worried about your kid, something that's going on at school. You could be having real loads of stress in your job. You could be, you could have just been diagnosed with an illness. So there's lots of reasons why people, as a rule, are generally disturbed. Now, if under normal circumstances, your sleep should resolve and get back to a normal pattern within a couple of weeks. Okay, so the falling out with your husband or your wife or your partner, a bit of stress at work, something's happened. It should, with in the home, or like I said, something's happened with one of your children at school, and that should really settle down within a couple of weeks and get back to normal. Your sleep pattern should resume. If it doesn't, it's generally because you're doing something, your behavior changes even without you knowing it, that perpetuates the insomnia. Now, there are some predisposed factors. Some people generally are born with genetic predisposition to being light sleep. Sometimes we might have a medical condition, which means it affects how we sleep. Sometimes side effects of medications, if people are on long-term medication, that also might affect how you sleep. So this is, there are exceptions to the rule, of course. But in general, after 2 weeks, things settle back down. Now, if they don't, it's because usually we change in a way that we're not likely doing it. For example, we're going to start scrolling in bed at night. You're going to get on your phone and you're going to start scrolling. Or you might start checking emails. And because you think, I can't sleep, so I'll just start doing something else in bed. And without you even realizing it, because you repeat them, they build a connection in your brain that tells your brain that you're in bed, but you're awake. It's like you're doing daytime activities in bed, and unknowingly you strengthen those connections and you fuel the insomnia. If the insomnia is resolved in 3 months, it's acute. If it continues after 3 months, then it's known as chronic. And insomnia, when you get a diagnosis, the DSM-5 diagnosis for insomnia is when you have difficulty waking up, falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up too early. Sorry. So you're falling asleep, staying asleep, or waking up too early on at least 3 nights of the week for at least 3 months, and it's not to do with any other illness or medication or anything else. It's like isolated just to that. So that would classify it between insomnia or just something that's going on in sleep or something else.
Right.
So what we look at when we do EBTI work really is we look at those perpetuating factors. We look at what are you doing in your life, in your daily habits, in your routine that could that insomnia going. Now, when I knew about this, I hadn't done the training then, and I didn't know about it until I actually did it. But for all those years up to that, I was scrolling in bed, I was watching telly in bed, I was, probably tossing and turning off the night.
Nope. Did we?
Alcohol, which I don't drink really anymore either, that affects my sleep too much. But
Oh, I think we lost you there for a moment.
Can you hear me? You lost me.
Yeah, it says unstable connection. Just hang on, it'll fix itself right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Actually, Shawn, I've got to jump off. I've got a deadline that I've got to meet, and I just kind of realized I got something backwards on this briefing that I've got to go fix.
Okay.
So, Dr. Becca, pleasure meeting you and speaking with you guys. And I will, I'll have this playing in the background, but yeah, Shawn, I will catch up with you. I'll catch up with you later today.
All right, and we will carry on here.
Awesome. You guys enjoy.
So right
Thank you.
before your video kind of dipped out on us, we were talking about watching TV and all the other distractions that we have. Instead of actually just using our bed to go to sleep in. What's
Yeah.
what's
Some
what's the
people
recommendation?
even eat in bed. Sorry?
Yeah. So what would be the recommendation for what would be considered a healthy bedtime routine?
Okay. So yeah, put the day to bed before you go to bed. Okay? So no daytime activities in bed. So no eating in bed, no emails in bed, no scrolling, watching TV. Try and, do all those things during the day. So you might want to an hour or so before your bedtime start with a nice wind down routine. So you need to give your body the signals that it's time to you give your brain, and to prepare for sleep. So for us to sleep well, we need to cool our body temperature down by about 1 degree. So a good way that we can do that is by having a warm shower or a warm bath, again about an hour or so before bed. And that just allows the blood to come to the surface of your skin and evaporate, and it cools your core body temperature down. Another thing would be to dim the lights. So, none of these, as we say in England, the big lights, none of the big lights, it's like, so dim those lights, maybe use lower, the little lamps or candles even, to sort of dim the lights down. And again, that's giving your brain the signals that it's calming down time. So watching television is fine, but nothing too emotional. We want to be doing activities that are calming, that are down regulating, that are slowing your system down. So no eating too late, so no heavy meals really late. Try and eat a little bit earlier. I mean, try and exercise earlier on in the day as well. Get out into the fresh air. Maybe if you go to the gym but you can't get there till after work, try and go before you get home. So when you get home, you can have then your shower and your bath and just start to slow everything down. Sometimes it's nice to do, if you're interested in meditation, yoga, breath work, those kind of things. It's nice to incorporate those into a nice bedtime routine. Maybe listening to calming music. If you like doing things like jigsaws, puzzles, if ladies like to do pedicures, manicures, do your face, anything really that's giving yourself a little bit of me time, really, but also just slowing your mind down and calming everything down. So that's about an hour, I say, before you go to bed. So if you have a lot on your mind, journaling can be really helpful. You can, get a list ready, a pad and pen, and write your to-do list of things to do tomorrow, so that you're not carrying things in your head. You're getting everything out of your mind of all these things that you're carrying throughout the day. Especially if you think, I've got to sort the children's PE out, we've got to sort lunches, we've got to do this, we've got to get some petrol, we're always carrying a list, aren't we? This day and age, we're always so busy. We've got lots and lots of things going on. Lives are very hectic. So it's about making that time for you in the evening, but also before that, just allowing yourself that time to, right, what have I got to get off my chest? What have I got to write down, get ready for tomorrow? And just maybe offloading onto a piece of paper so you don't forget. And then tomorrow morning you can, try and do as much as you can before then, so you don't have to think about it. You're not stressing yourself in the morning. But it's about being organised and being prepared. But again, giving your body the signals that it's time to calm down.
Do you find, and I am very familiar with trying to close the loop, the daily loop. Do you find it particularly effective if you have things I gotta do, and then the things that I'm gonna this is my stop doing list. I'm not doing these things anymore. Does that also help kind of lighten
Yeah,
the
and I think Yeah, I think it's about it's prioritizing, isn't it? I think when we're talking about a bit of life management here, and about your mental health as well. What have you got some control over? What can you manage? What can you let go of? What do you not need to do anymore? Sometimes it can be things. What could you ask someone else to help you with? Because I think, especially, I say I'm speaking about women here, but I'm sure it's not just exclusively women that run households and that are busy mums who maybe have jobs as well as, organise kids and a million and one other things. But sometimes it's about asking for help. Sometimes it's about finding someone else who can support you, and just you could ask them to just help you do one or two other things just to lighten the load. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's about prioritizing what you've got some control over and what you can make a difference with, and what you can let go of, or what you don't need to do anymore.
I, I like the delegate list.
Well, why not? I think sometimes we're frightened of asking for help, and I think I know it's sometimes I found it hard in the past asking for help, because you like to be in control of everything, don't you? You like things done your way, and you like to, you like the dishwasher stacked in a certain way, and you like your washing up done in a certain way, or your clothes folded in a certain way, or your ironing's done because your husband maybe can't do it as well as you can. But you just think sometimes it's about letting go of just one or two things, just that can free up your mind, take a little bit of pressure off, and then when you've not got that thing to do, you can then go and do your yoga, your meditation. You can go and have a nice bath and just relax, and maybe watch a program that you want to watch and make a little bit of me time. I think that's really important.
And when it's, and for those of us, because I'm also divorced, so often it's me, myself, and I. So there really, I could delegate it to me, but then I wouldn't want to do it later. But I
Yeah,
think
I know that feeling.
and then another part might want to get involved, but I think sometimes that in and of itself is underrated, because you're right. We oftentimes think that we are islands unto ourselves, and we forget that there is an extended community out there of friends and people that we know that probably could help us do something much faster, and then just get it done. Um,
Mm,
I've often said, especially in the area of technology, that my job is to accelerate success. So, somebody comes in and says, "Can you help me with this? I can't get this thing to work," and I'll fix it in like 38 seconds. And they say, "Well, it would have taken me hours." I said, "There you go. I've accelerated your success by 2,000 times or whatever. Uh,
yeah,
Saved you all that time." And um, just even that piece alone can help you get a more secure level of uh, when your head actually hits the pillow,
yeah,
it's taken care of, right?
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
don't not delegate in the sense of, if it has to go outside of your immediate circle, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
I agree. I agree. Ask for help when it's needed, definitely. Yeah, but another really good tip too, that I mean, this sounds back to front really, but to help you get a better night's sleep, have a consistent wake up time every day, so even at weekends. So, for example, I my personal wake up time every morning, I really don't need to set an alarm anymore. It's like a built-in body clock for me, is 7:30 a.m. So work 7:30 a.m. and even at weekends. And okay, I might not want to rush out of bed straight away at 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday morning, but having a consistent wake up time and not lying in bed, right? Because again, it's about just I'll just go back a step. The association for bed is for sleep and romantic relations. That is it. Okay, that's all the only two things your bed should be used for: sleep and romantic things. Okay, so when people do behaviors in bed like scrolling, watching TV, eating, movies, emails, those kind of things, you're creating this association which is negative for your brain. okay, that bed isn't just used for sleep or sex. It's other, we do all these other things, these daytime activities in our bed, and that indirectly affects your sleep. You might not think it does, but it does, okay? Lying in bed also for too long, it creates this negative association. So having a wake up time in the morning around whatever time it is, you set your alarm. For me, it's like 7:30. Once I've sort of come round and woken up enough, I get out of bed straight away. And so again, I'm not allowing my brain to make the connection of bed is for lying then awake. We should be asleep in bed. And literally, once you've done that a few times, it's hard. Even when you don't sleep very well, still get up at 7:30 in the morning, stick to that routine, even if you have a rubbish night's sleep. Because what happens then, if you've had a rubbish night's sleep, during the day when you get up early, get some daylight, natural daylight in your eyes, open the curtains, get outside. Even if you're just standing in the garden, having a coffee, standing outside your front door, having a coffee for 5 minutes, getting some natural daylight in your eyes, what that does is kickstarts your sleep drive. And your sleep drive, from the moment that you wake up and get that natural daylight in your eyes, builds up throughout the day. And it keeps building and keeps building and keeps building and keeps building until, that feeling when at night time, when your eyes are going and you're really struggling to keep your eyes open, and as soon as your head hits the pillow, you're out. That's because your sleep drive has reached its maximum peak, and then it crashes, and that's when you fall fast asleep. So you need to build your sleep drive up throughout the day. So even when you've had a poor night's sleep, still get up at that same time, even on a Sunday morning, even on a Saturday morning when you don't have to get up. It's a killer. But if you don't struggle with sleep problems, then obviously this isn't really going to affect you. But I'm talking for people who have sleep difficulties, who have insomnia, who do struggle with sleep, who don't have consistent sleep schedules. Building that sleep drive up is really important. So a consistent wake up time is really important. And, try and go to bed at the same time as well every night. Our bodies like routine. Our brains like routine. We're predictable. We like being predictable, don't we? As a species, we're predictable. So we like the same bedtimes and we like the same wake up times. And if you can stick to that routine, you'll find your sleep will settle, and you'll get a better quality of sleep. Because again, what's really important with sleep is quality, not quantity. So if you get 6.5 hours of really solid quality sleep, that's better than lying in bed for 9 hours and having disturbed, broken sleep, tossing and turning. Quality over quantity with sleep every time.
Yeah. And that there right there is so very important. And Mark, I'm with you on the CPAP machines. They are looking at starting me on one, and apparently I was having, I think it was like 45 events a night, which is in the extreme range. After testing with the machine, it was down to less than 5. So and I felt better,
Yeah, I mean, my mum was diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea as well. It's very common in women, and especially women that go through menopause. So this is really key for any women here who are perimenopausal. Your collagen changes. Yeah? When we start losing estrogen, our collagen changes, and it affects the soft tissues, the structure, soft tissue structures at the back of your throat. So when you're led down, because this isn't just, generally it's associated with people who are a bit overweight, males and females can get this, but the soft tissues at the back of your throat close when you are led down and you're sleeping, and the apnea is the lack of oxygen. So you stop breathing in your sleep. Often you don't know you're doing it. So anybody who's listening, if your partner is stopping breathing in their sleep, then get them checked, because undiagnosed sleep apnea can be really dangerous. It's a really, go to the doctors. They can do what they call a stop bang questionnaire. They can screen for sleep apnea, and it is treatable. So like Shawn saying with the CPAP machine, which goes over the nose, but that helps you with oxygen and helps you breathe better. So then you're sleeping better. But there's also, if you can't cope with that, there's different styles of masks. And there's also appliances that you can wear in the mouth that alter the position of the jaw, which also affect, the sleep, the position of the tissues at the back of the throat, which will, reduce the closures, so you get better quality of sleep. But yeah, undiagnosed sleep apnea is very common. So anybody listening, I urge you to get checked, because if it is undiagnosed, there's higher risk of cardiovascular issues, diabetes, all these other health issues that go along with that.
And so from the chat, Becca's saying, I feel lately I've gone the opposite way. Instead of insomnia now, I'm so knackered and sleep too much. Have to nap when I get home sometimes, or sleep too much. I feel like I need 9 or 10 hours to feel like I can function.
So that makes me think that you're not getting a good quality sleep. If you're so tired during the day that you need to nap, again, I would try not to nap. If you are going to nap, so napping I wouldn't say don't nap if it's going to keep you safe. I wouldn't, wouldn't want you to drive tired or operate any machinery tired. This is where sleep can be, dangerous if we're not getting proper sleep. But, it might be worthwhile you having a chat with your GP. That's English for, physician, whatever you call them in America or your side of the world.
That's okay. Becca's on your side of the world, so.
Okay, so yeah, if you are, you might want to have a chat with well, you can have a chat with me offline if you want, and we can have a look at your quality of sleep. But often, if you are having lots of micro awakenings in the night, you're having a disturbed sleep. Everyone wakes up in the night, what they call micro awakenings. Okay, but most of the time we don't even know it, because they're so tiny, these awakenings, we just drift back off to sleep and we don't even remember it. So, but it's if these awakenings, or there's something going on that's disturbing the quality of your sleep, then you're going to feel exhausted during the day. So to keep safe, I would say have a nap, but keep it short to like 20 minutes, because if you allow it to go on longer than that, then it turns into like a full nap, a full sleep cycle. 20 minutes is just the right 20 minutes, half an hour, not really any longer than that, because otherwise it impacts on your sleep later on. So if you nap and have a good nap of an hour, 90 minutes during the day, that's going to affect that sleep drive. I talked about the sleep drive that needs to build up during the day. Well, if you have a nap, it's going to drop. And then you're going to have to build up and build up and build up and build up again. So then if you were normally going to bed at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, it might be then 1 o'clock in the morning by the time your sleep drive's built up again for you to then get to sleep. So it's like it messes all your rhythm up, or your schedule up. But yeah, I would definitely be looking into that. There's a reason why you're so exhausted during the day.
Yeah, and that would happen to me especially if I had a massively interrupted sleep. Daytime would be really sluggish, and somewhere along the way, I'd want to close the door to my office and take a nap over lunch or something like that. Just to try and.
My mum was falling asleep in restaurants. She was falling asleep. This was how much it was affecting her. We didn't know this at the time. This was before she was diagnosed, but we thought, Mum, there's something not right here. She was, she'd be reading the paper and she'd just be falling asleep. And then she would be in a restaurant, when they're busy. So if you're falling asleep in a busy environment, in a tube station, or in a restaurant, in a place where there's lots of, in a concert where there's lots of noise and activity, then I would be really looking at, why are you falling asleep?
Yeah.
Because that is not normal.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's not normal, and you shouldn't be operating heavy machinery. The same thing we say when we talk about doing hypnosis online. We have a disclaimer. Well, don't be driving or chopping vegetables or doing something that is otherwise going to be potentially dangerous, right? So,
yeah, and that's why I do the work that I do when I speak about sleep, is because it's really important that people have an understanding of how lack of sleep can impact on you, for your safety, for driving. If you have a lack of sleep for 17 hours and then you get in a car to drive, your reaction time is the same as if you have the drink drive limit in the UK. So, it affects your reactions, it affects your thinking, your cognitive ability, your productivity, your concentration, your energy, your motivation, your focus. So, if you're working in an environment where you are operating machinery, maybe you drive a lot for your job. It worries me where I think, people who work in an environment like such as surgeons or in a hospital where they're doing very, very long shifts and they're lacking in sleep. How does that affect their decision making? So, sleep is really, really fundamentally important. It's biologically fundamentally important because without sleep, we would not survive. It's a necessary biological function. And when people have problems with sleeping, it exasperates cardiovascular issues, strokes, diabetes, Alzheimer's. The list goes on. But there's a risk. There's a risk to you as a person if you're driving tired. You're just a risk to other people around you if you're and yourself if you're operating machinery and you're tired. So it's really important, that people get a good quality sleep. 1 in 2 people in the UK have some kind of sleep difficulties. So either me or you do, Shawn.
I would say that is probably the low end here in North America. I think there are a lot more people out there that have some type of sleep difficulty that it's not even so much that they even want to think about diagnosing it. They just don't have time, don't care. They're driven by different things. And my other question is going to be around shift work, because I used to be one of those guys that was, that I would go and probably my busiest week ever. I was called in on a Thursday, Friday, and so I was managing McDonald's. One of the managers at McDonald's. My shift work was always the 4 p.m. to close, and I was the by the time I left a couple years after that, I was the closing specialist. I knew exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, with whom that would be the most efficient person to get the job done. That was the easy part. But I was at that time just had my education degree, so I was in subbing, and it just so happened that I got a call from the high school, the public high school, and it was my middle school teacher that was that had moved over to the high school that was sick. Well, they said, they told me when I got there. Oh, by the way, you remember that she used to teach French immersion. This is a French immersion class. And I said, "Oh, parlez-vous en français?" Like, that's about as far as that's what I remember from grade 8 French with her. So anyway, so it went Thursday, Friday, and I was closing that week. I didn't have a Saturday shift, but I had a Sunday shift. Monday morning, I got the call. She's still sick. Come on in. So I went Monday morning or Monday throughout the day to Wednesday, and closed all that week. And by the time that Friday shift rolled around, I was so tired.
Yeah, can imagine.
And it just, because everything was dysregulated. But for people who do work shifts, so I'm thinking like nurses, doctors, law enforcement, the guys that are working at McDonald's overnight now because it's open 24/7. What kind of advice can you give them to get a better sleep, and or do they need to come and see you and just get a complete sleep reset?
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? If they're working regular shifts over a long period of time and it's the same shift pattern, then there's not much there's not much they can do, but they can try and eat at the same time. It's about try and eat at the same time, try and fit their life in with the daylight and the sunset. So when they're leaving work, if it's the time that they're going to bed, if they're leaving work really early in the morning, then then they don't want to be getting too stimulated, because they want to be able to sleep, don't they? So it's about eating when you're leaving work, when you get home, having something to eat, doing the wind down routine, having a good sleep. It's about getting into a regular pattern. However, if you can alternate shifts, that's probably going to be better for you than working like nights forevermore, amen. If you can do some split shift, do different sort of shift patterns, and at least then your body might be able to get back into, reclaim some normality, get back into your regular circadian rhythm. Shift work's hard. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Some of the best shifts I've had have been, later night at McDonald's, and something weird happens and everybody gets a good laugh out of it, or but yeah, it can really mess with the rest of life, and even more so, and this happened to me. So this is my other McDonald's, one of my other McDonald's stories. I have many, because I almost consider that my first career was 10 years at McDonald's, working my way from high school through to university. But I had a group of ladies that I worked with. We all went to high school together in different high schools and whatnot. And they did this to me not once, but twice. So all of a sudden, I get this call, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's the morning shift manager, and she's calling me, and she's like, "You got to come in. You're the only other guy that can work the day shift." Da, 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 da. I said, "Well, I'm supposed to work the night shift. Like, I've been scheduled for the night shift forever." She says, "Oh, okay, we'll figure something out, but we got to get you in here right away." I said, "What's going on?" "Well, they're all three of them are away. You're replacing all three of them."
Wow.
I said, "Well, what's going on?" And then a little while later, "Oh yeah, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant." All three of them. And so anytime they all had morning sickness, I would get this call. And so I'd be working night shift, morning shift, sleep a little bit in between, and again, but they did it twice. It's like they had totally synced their biological clocks and their families together. So
Probably, yeah.
anyway, yeah.
So, daily life though, like our daily life and things that we do during I noticed that you've been drinking coffee, I think, there as well. Caffeine impact on sleep. So it doesn't impact on everyone, don't get wrong. Some people are more sensitive to it than others. I've learned myself that I can drink coffee in the morning. It's like 3 cups of coffee. I don't drink coffee after 2 or 3 p.m. in the afternoon, because caffeine can stay in your system for 8 hours or so after you've had your last coffee. So it can, if your bedtime is usually around 10 o'clock, then you don't want your last coffee between, after 3 p.m. So you want it before then. So, looking at what we do, how we behave during the day. So drinking alcohol as well can impact on your sleep. So even though you might have 1 glass of wine or more, and that makes you feel sleepy, because sometimes you have a glass of wine to help you unwind, and it makes you feel sleepy, but that glass of wine then is a stimulant. So it actually sort of can fragment your sleep. So you have more disturbed sleep if you've been drinking alcohol, and more so because you often wake up in the night. So if people have drunk quite a bit of alcohol, they'll often wake up needing a wee or needing a drink because they're dehydrated. So your sleep becomes more disturbed. So being mindful, I'm certainly not saying to people, don't drink caffeine or don't drink alcohol, and I don't want you want people to enjoy the life, of course, but it's about being mindful. If you suffer with sleep difficulties, it's being mindful about how these things might impact on your sleep. So be mindful of how much caffeine that you're drinking. Decaf, still, I think decaf. I would choose decaf if I was having a coffee for a meal, to follow a meal, after in an evening. But just be mindful of these things, because they do. If you're sensitive to them and you have problems sleeping, they may well be impacting on your sleep more than you think.
Yeah, I had a friend that would, if he had more than a cup of coffee in a day, he would be it wouldn't be jittery. He would just get real sluggish. And it was almost like caffeine had the opposite effect on him. So he
Wow.
tended to shy away from those types of drinks, which is too bad because I still enjoy my tea Earl Grey hot. So
Yeah.
as all good starship captains do. Um, we are actually coming up on the friend or frenemy question.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and so everybody that's out there, and I can't see everybody that's out there. I've got one of the Facebook feeds open and one of the YouTube feeds open, but there's like two of each. So if we've missed your comment, our streaming platform here is done something really weird and odd, and we can't actually see all the chat coming in. However, all of that said, we always give everybody a chance to post whether they think you're a friend or a frenemy. But let me explain while they're placing their votes, and that we may or may not ever see. I'll see if anybody shows up here. But so when I met Jim for the very first time, it was through a group that we had that was organized by Scott King, and Jim and I kind of became buddies really quickly. We kind of, same sense of humor type of thing, and
Yeah.
and his one of his many things, quirks, if you will, was that he did not like pineapple on pizza. Absolutely aghast that anybody would have pineapple on pizza. And Brian and I, believe it or not our favorite either. Would we be polite and eat it? I would be polite and say no, thank you. But the friend or frenemy question is this:
Oh gosh.
if you were ordering a pizza, would pineapple be on that pizza? Yes or no?
No.
And that's why you're a friend.
Oh, thank you.
So and when people answer no to that, when people answer to that question, um, I often have to apologize to the world because it was a Canadian that actually invented pineapple pizza.
Oh, was it? I've learned something new.
It's like, so that's okay. We will carry on. Anyway, it's just one of those really quirky things. And Jim not being with us anymore, he would be all over the place with Actually, I think Becky's not with us here anymore. She had to go, but she actually has one of these T-shirts that's Jim went to the great lengths of saying printing T-shirts that said, "I have the taste of a junkyard dog because I like pineapple on my pizza." So anyway, it's all good. Before we end off our podcast, this is also the portion of the podcast where if you want to uh, take the lead and lead us in a short hypno, I guess a hypno hit, if you will. We will. I will turn it over to you, and I will do my best to. I'm actually. What I'll do is I'll duck behind the scenes so I'm not being all distracting on while I'm looking at making sure we can figure out if anybody's actually commenting. I'll flip over to the other two platforms and see if we've missed anything. But
Okay.
if you want to take the lead and proceed, I will turn it over to you and come back.
Do you want me just to do a short little hypnosis thing?
Yeah, and any modality. If you want to make people laugh, make them laugh. If you want them to get better sleep, you can instruct that. If if you want to tell them that they need to come to you and for more business.
Yeah, anyone with sleep problems, drop me a line.
Yeah, judgment right? So we'll turn it over to you, and I will be back as soon as you're finished, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
All right, we will see you in a moment.
Okay, no, wow. So what I would like you to do is make sure that you're just sitting nice and comfortably, that you're not going to fall off anywhere, you're not going to injure yourself. And I would like you to just gently close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, in through your nose for 4. Hold for 7. And out for 8. So we're just going to slow everything down. We're going to get you ready so you're going to have a lovely night's sleep tonight. So we'll just do a little more breath work, just breathing in through your nose for 4. Hold for 7. And breathe out slowly through your mouth for 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And as you continue there, just focusing on your breathing, just allow your eyes to gently close. Your eyelids just feeling heavy and relaxed, and all those muscles around your eyes just feeling loose and limp and heavy and relaxed. Just feeling yourself just sinking into the chair there. As you continue to focus on your breathing, you're breathing in calmness. And you're breathing out any tension that you're holding on to. Just breathing in calmness. You're breathing out any tension that you're holding on to. And now using your powerful imagination now. Just imagine that powerful hypnosis of yours now just infiltrating in through the top of your head, all the way down through the muscles of your scalp, down over your forehead, around the muscles of your eyes just feeling heavy and relaxed. Just feel that powerful hypnosis of yours now just going down through all your cheeks, your jaw. Just allowing any tension that you're holding in your jaw just to soften and relax. Your tongue just to relax. Feeling that powerful hypnosis now just traveling all the way down from your cheeks and your jaw, down your neck, into your shoulders. And any tension you're holding in your shoulders, just allow that now just to fade away, dissolve away, drain away. As you feel that powerful hypnosis now going down from your shoulders, down your arms, all the way down to your fingertips. And with every inhale, breathing in that calmness. And every exhale, you're breathing out any tension. And you feel yourself just sinking into the chair. Feeling yourself just going deeper and deeper, further and further down with every breath. Feeling that powerful hypnosis of yours now going all the way down through your chest, down your tummy, to your hips, down your knees, down your calves, to your ankles, all the way down to the soles of your feet. And just feeling that powerful hypnosis now of yours now swirling all the way around the body, from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. Just allowing yourself now just to drift and drain, going deeper and deeper. With every breath, just feeling yourself just drifting, just floating, going further and further down. And just allowing now any tension, any negative thoughts or feelings, any of that stress of the day that you've been holding on to. Just allowing that to release and just let it go. Any of those negative thoughts or feelings, those sensations, those emotions, any of those negative things that have been keeping you awake at night and stopping you having that good, sound, deep night's sleep. Just give yourself permission to let them go. Just allow them to float away, drift away. And as you do so, just notice how light that makes you feel inside. Just notice the feeling of weight being lifted. As you let go of each negative thought or feeling. Each sensation that's been holding you back and stopping you moving forward in life, stopping you being that person that you really want to be. That's right, you're doing really well. Just allowing yourself to just let go of all that stress, all that tension that you've been holding on to all this time. That's right. And allowing it all just to drift and float away. Letting go like a balloon. Maybe you put it in a boat, you're pushing it out to sea. Maybe you've dug a hole in your mind and you're burying it all. But you're letting go of all those things in life that are holding you back and stopping you being that person you really want to be. Stop the things that are stopping you achieving your goals. Because letting these things go will free up your mind so that you can focus on the positive things. Focus on the things that are important to you in life, things that you want to achieve, the things that really matter to you. Letting go of these negative things will help you release your mind so you can sleep better and free from your mind so you can fall asleep soundly tonight, for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month going forward. That you'll sleep when your head hits the pillow, and you'll sleep deeply and you'll sleep soundly without waking, and you'll have a good quality night's sleep. And you'll wake in the morning feeling refreshed, feeling energized, ready to deal with the day ahead. You're doing really well. And in a moment, I'm going to count up from 5 to 0. And with every number, you're going to feel more energized, more alert, more awake. Feeling a renewed sense of self, like you can achieve what you really want to achieve. Feeling positive and powerful and confident. Five. Starting to get the feeling back in your fingers and your toes. Starting to feel that energy now, just moving around your body once more. 4, with every breath now, you're breathing in that positivity. And with every exhale, you're allowing just any bits of negativity that are left just to leave your body and your mind. 3, knowing that when you wake, you'll be full of energy for the rest of your day and you'll sleep soundly this evening. As soon as your head hits the pillow, your eyes will close and you'll drift into a lovely, deep, sound sleep. 2, starting to stretch now, feeling your muscles just awaken. Feeling that positive energy now from the top of your head all the way down to the soles of your feet. 1, feeling like you're just going to now open your eyes and feel the best feeling that you've felt all day. And 0, opening your eyes, feeling absolutely amazing, back in the room with us and feeling wonderful, ready to carry on your day.
And there we go. We'll give everybody a moment to get themselves adjusted and composed. And I don't generally participate online because Brian and I are often working things behind the scenes, but we do go back and we do go through the hypnosis portions, in our own time. And oftentimes when I am behind the scenes, I'm listening for what are the things that are being said and how are they being phrased, because we know as hypnotists, we know this, and as educators, we definitely know this.
Excuse me.
How you say something is as important as what you say. So I really enjoyed that the way that you've phrased everything, and even just bringing people out of hypnosis and back into the room. There was a different energy, a different inflection, and every count was just I picked up on those subtle shifts in your tone and in your voice and the excitement, and it's like, okay, yeah. So
Thank you.
it's always good. So I'm not sure. Again, our chat is for those of you that have joined us throughout. I did find out, Jesse, you were here. I'm not sure if you still are or not. And Melissa Dodd was here as well. She commented very early on, probably just before Brian got into the other chat lines, that there are a few hypnotists in the States that actually work equine therapy with hypnosis. So, which I think
that's interesting.
I think that would be an interesting mix, because I know horses have we talk about horse sense, but they really do have a different way of interpreting what's going on around them. And when somebody comes in that's dysregulated, that can either set them off really quickly, or they can be the ones that would kind of sidle up to you and say, okay, calm down, buddy, if you want.
Absolutely.
You want to ride me, you're going to calm down,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. They're very clever and very astute at reading subtleties of our body language and the energy that we give off. Yeah, so that's what they know, that we're scared before we even know we are. They pick up off our energy and our body language because they're prey animals. They're so used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything more that we didn't discuss that you'd like to everybody to know?
No, I don't think so. I think I've waffled on quite a lot there. I
Well,
tend to get, sometimes we go off on tangents, don't we? And think, oh God, what was the question?
but it's in those tangents and in those, we call them bunny trails here sometimes as well. But it's in that discussion that we find maybe a nugget that you wouldn't have never ever thought about otherwise, and then all of a sudden, bang! Here's this nugget of truth, or this gold nugget of wisdom, and it's like, okay, picking up on things like in the interview itself, just
Yeah.
get the devices out of the room, close off the day. Yeah, you drink coffee, you drink tea, that's great and all of that, and you might have an odd glass of wine or something like that. Do it earlier in the day if you can, and give your body time to adjust and hit the so-called cliff, and
Yeah,
but
and sleep,
let it help you sleep.
yeah, and sleep is one of the things they call it. It's paradoxical. It's one of, with any other skill, anything else in life that you want to get good at, you practice. Sleep is sleep, the more distant it becomes. So it's as though you've really got to stop worrying about sleep and just let it happen. Sleep, you will sleep eventually. You will, because your body, it's a biological function. Your body will make you sleep. So the more attention you give sleep, the harder actually sleep becomes. You're better off, if you can, not stressing about it, not thinking about it, just say calming your mind down and putting the day to rest, and then creating yourself this lovely bedtime routine. Make your bedroom as comfortable and as dark as you can. Take any distractions out of your bedroom, black out blinds, keep it cool, and I know we talked a lot about animals, but again, animals in the bedroom can be a bit of a distraction. And I must say, hands up, I'm guilty. I sleep with my Daisy every night, but she, most of the time she doesn't bother me, but sometimes she's on and off the bed and she is a distraction. So there's it's like you're sort of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Because for me, she's company. She's a bit like a teddy bear. she's my comfort. If I wake in the night for any reason, it's like, where's Daisy? I know she's my own. There's a flip side to that, is that they can be distracting. So again, it's just something for people to be mindful of. If they are constantly keeping you awake, then maybe the bedroom isn't the best place to have your dog. But yeah, there's lots of things to get a really good sleep isn't difficult. It's just about, sometimes it's the smallest changes that can make the biggest difference.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. The other thing that I would caution people is don't make 100 changes all at the same time.
True.
If you're working at making your sleep as optimized as you possibly can, don't change a dozen things and then hope that just fixes everything, because that's anybody who's ever done troubleshooting in the IT world or engineering or whatever it is. The very first thing is, what did I change? What was the last change that I made? Why are things going off the rail?
Yeah.
Can I fix that situation, or what else can I change to get things back on track? That's the way it has to be, but only one thing at a time. And sometimes in our fast paced society, that's too slow for people.
Yeah. But I think it just slowing your mind down, calming everything down makes such a difference. We're so busy. We have such busy lives, most of us now, don't we? And especially the thing with technology, we're under so much pressure. Everybody, it's like life expects so much of everyone. It expects over and above of everyone. Everyone's giving more than they get back, aren't they, most of the time? And I think it is, a lot of it is about reducing stress the best way you can, just calming your mind down, slowing everything down, and just making some time for you. Makes all
Yeah.
the difference to your mental health and to your sleep.
Yeah. And if you're one of those people that where it's just you, yourself, and you, make sure you take 3 times as much time for yourself.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I have just since I've been living on my own, which has been for about 5 years. I think, oh gosh, yes, I don't stress half as much about tidying up, cleaning up, washing. I think, oh, it's gonna be there tomorrow. It's only my mess. I'll tidy it later.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling too. Our timelines are not all that dissimilar, actually.
Super.
Anyway,
Um,
trying to think if there's any other questions. I know I had a couple that I had thought about asking. I think we've covered them in either with one of those tangents, or Brian maybe asked it early on, which is a good thing. So we will wrap it up for the Hypnosis Hero podcast for today and for the season. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. And I know we had a couple of scheduling issues. At one time, we actually had you scheduled for that would have been like 2 o'clock in the morning your time. Probably not the best time for the person talking about sleeping properly to be up in the middle of the night talking about sleep. So
Yeah,
thanks for rescheduling with us
thank
and
you.
finding a
Thank
time
you
that
for
works for
putting that
everybody
on.
across the world. So
Yeah.
except for maybe the Australians, they're probably early morning coffee wondering what the heck is Shawn talking about now, because that's sometimes that's what happens, and that's also a good cue whenever you hear the trains in York, and because you can't get away from them. In any event, we will see everybody next season. Brian and I will be on again for another season of Hypnosis Hero. Again, also remember the Performing Hypnosis Summit. If you are planning on attending, you might want to start making your plans now to join us in Vegas in January. Whether you are a performing hypnotist or even just somebody who's kicking the tires at even presenting, on hypnosis, you have people there with, I don't know, I don't want to say thousands of years of experience, but definitely some of them might seem like it. You never know. No, we've got some really great people who are always happy to share. And every year we've seen people that have come for the first time that absolutely have their lives changed just by talking with some of our presenters and getting to know the rest of us, because guess what, we're nice people, at least we think we are. um, and with that in mind, we'll sign off and see you next season, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And until then, take care, stay well, and be awesome. Have a good night.